As a toddler, my journey was to push myself forward even against unsurmountable odds. In this scene, I am ascending a staircase in an effort to reach the top. As a little tot, that world often seemed far away. However, my independent mind didn't let that stop me, but it often took an emotional boost, such as someone calling me from above. Eventually, I would grasp the ability to stand, which allows more freedom of movement. My knees would thank me for that much later. In the early beginnings, I was always a curious child, analytical in some kind of state. Here I am seen playing with a toy train that seems to have bombarded into my leg. I could often catch myself doing many different things just out of curiosity, and I think my curiosity continued as I advanced further in life. After my parents discovered that I wasn't bumping into things too much, I was granted the freedom to explore the outer world, with my parents in range, of course. Often, my brothers supervised me too. My interest often directed me to running around in a randomized state. I was grateful this only lasted for a short duration, since my lungs usually surrendered in defeat out of exhaustion. My family consisted of my two older brothers and a younger sister. My mother's job was to manage us when my father was away, such as when he went to the store. Because of the age difference between my brothers, I drew closer to my sister. We often played together, and my imagination ran wild. Although computers had not seen the light of day yet, I was already managing to control my environment and more too often my sister. However, my dad often came to the rescue when I harassed her too much. Here I am posing for a school picture. I was well liked by my classmates due to my friendly nature. During those years, I started to build some true friendships that would last for years. One such friend was my neighbor, Jeff. He was actually bolder than me in those days, which sometimes led to arguments and fist swinging, which often left me face down on the sidewalk. Still, he was my best friend, regardless, and we usually made up the next day. During the holiday season, my family took us on a bus downtown to explore the city. There was a popular mall that attracted many people due to their wide variety of products. Also, within that building, up an escalator and down to the back, was where Santa Claus was stationed. For the longest time, I believe he visited the stores to see if we were misbehaving. The stories on televised channels depicted Santa as obese, but I can still recall the skinny legs since I kept slipping off his lap. Maybe that was why I was standing in this picture. We met our dog when she was a puppy. Somehow I learned she had escaped from our neighbor's house and ran over to our door in the rain. My father heard a bark, the sound of whimpering, and was surprised to see a beautiful chihuahua scratching at the door. We often called her Queen since she liked to let everyone know who was boss. In this picture, my sister is gazing on us as I managed to get our dog under control, which was often difficult at best. However, she quickly became well liked by our neighbors. Yet it was the strangers who backed off when she growled in a barking rage with only a chain-link fence to protect them from an uncertain fate. Due to my fascination with comic books later, one of my first hobbies was drawing. Often I would find scratch paper and try to reproduce a picture on a comic book. As I became more obsessed with drawing other things, temptations would often take root. One day, I found myself grabbing extra paper at school to have something to draw on in the evenings. Later, my brother walked into my room and saw me sifting through rows of papers lined in a drawer. He asked me where I got this from, and I told him my teacher gave it to me. To this day, I still cannot remember that conversation I had with my teacher, but decided to never again take something without permission. My first introduction to digital technology occurred when my brother received a special Christmas present around 1975 my parents had purchased from Sears. It was the world's first game console in our town. The founder was a company called Atari. The game was titled Pong by its creator, Alan Alcorn. The goal was to control a blip with a moving paddle. You scored a point whenever the ball proceeded to the opposite side of the screen, after the other player missed the block. Pong soon became very popular, and other game versions were released much later. After the success of Pong, Atari began work much later on a newer game console called the Atari 2600. It was released around 1982. My brothers noticed how addicted I was to Pong and talked my parents into purchasing us one in 1983. When I unwrapped that console that Christmas, every other gift became a blur. I had seen my future, but didn't know it yet. I spent many sleepless nights playing many different games long into the night during the summer. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was already strategically learning to control things in an organized state. After all, the game didn't give me a whooping from my father since I left my sister alone. One of my favorite games was called Sword Quest Fire World. Atari released several versions and launched a contest to see who could solve the puzzles. My analytical mind grabbed onto this quickly, and I played the Sword Quest series for the longest time. There was also a comic book that came included with the game that provided subtle clues to the objects hidden throughout the mazes. Seen here is a scene from Fire World. Navigation is accomplished by passing through the open walls in the game. It was also during these years that I learned to begin my first stages of hacking. After some trial and error, I learned to send my character flying through a wall by rubbing against it and quickly reversing the direction on the joystick. Due to a character collision error, this would send the player quickly moving through any of the walls. I enjoyed this discovery so much and began exploring other options. Much later, I learned to hack with the console itself. If you flip the game on and off quickly sometimes, you could reset the player position in the game. I tried this with other games later, and in the game Hero, I learned how to grant myself infinite lives. River Raid was another game that I quickly became addicted to. I enjoyed the strategic maneuver around boats, shooting helicopters passing to the right, avoiding enemy fire on the harder levels, all while being sure not to get crushed between the cavern walls. It was games like this that also helped set the foundation for game design and maps. I have Atari to thank for all of this. My hat's off to you, Nolan Bushnell. Because of this machine and its discoveries, my journey into computers was not far behind. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this series. This was just a short duration into the discovery of my analytical mind eventually, coming upon a computer and discovering my path of where I'm going. I'll be including more videos coming soon. I just figured I'd try this slideshow to see how that goes. I just learned how to do it recently. And anyways, as always, I really appreciate you guys so much. Without you guys, I would never really be anything. And anyways, I just want to say there'll be more things coming. And also, as we discussed about the machine language, if you're still interested, and let me know that you want to, be a part of that member and join the team later, probably somewhere around maybe December or January. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, and favorite this channel. And share it with your friends. Yeah, look forward to hearing your feedback, and thanks for watching.